Great to have you here. Today we finally start with the tuning conversion for the DA15 and also for other machines. There's some more information coming up. I have brought you the Perfomance Plate from ChemicalWorkz. This is the support plate that can be attached here, for example, to the DA15, which comes with even more features. Let's take a look together now. I'll show you how to assemble everything. I'll also remind you of the advantages and want to find out together with you in the video if you can really notice a difference when polishing. And now, let's go right to the back here on the E that I have already prepared. I already showed you the plate in the unboxing. It is truly a fantastic piece, and I left it completely untouched so that we can assemble everything together here. I could have attached it right away and said, here, this is the plate, and we can go polishing. But I just want to show you everything so that you can replicate it at home when you get yours. And with this part, it's a bit like saving up for your long-awaited rims for your car, for your favorite vehicle that you always take with you, with your project car, where you say, I'm treating myself to something really nice here. And that's what this is. It's not about saying that the machine only works perfectly with this support plate and that you have to get it as others are junk. That is not the case. You can work wonderfully here with the original support plates, but you will notice the differences if you polish more often and have already gained polishing experience. This means that the support plate is specifically designed for people who really polish a lot and demand a great deal from the machine, as the heat dissipation is also ensured to be a bit better here. The support plate is already very specialized and well developed. This whole setup has simply been further perfected. Now, let's move on to the first advantage. If you work a lot with these machines, with the support plates and so on, you will notice over time, and I'm not talking about 2 cars a week, but really excessive use, that these Velcro surfaces, regardless of which support plate, will eventually lose their grip. It also depends a bit on the pads, how large or how the hook and loop surface is structured. For example, the counter surface on the polishing pad. I don't have one here next to me, but you know what I mean. You attach this here, pull it off, and then you somehow realize that after working with it a lot, the adhesion eventually decreases. And this is not only due to the Velcro material itself, but also a bit because of the heat development. The material on the pad changes a little at the top, those small threads that get caught here, and that's why you can simply remove this Velcro from the support plate. You can also purchase this separately here soon. So this disc here, you can simply buy it again. And then every time you really need to replace it due to excessive use, you can do that. You don't need a new support plate because it's just more expensive. Here you get the platform and can always change it. That's already the first advantage. So, to build this up, you actually just need to take a microfiber cloth, a bit of degreaser, a really small spray, and then clean the surface really well here in 21. Make sure that it is completely ventilated afterwards. Now dry the whole thing again with the second side. There is nothing on it. You don't have any shampoo, oil, grease, or anything like that. It's just a quick reminder about the complete cleaning. So, once that is done, place the support plate in front of you on the table. Take the Velcro area, remove the counterpart from the back. And now the goal is to position it as centrally as possible. Here, place the support plate in front of you on the table, align it at the top using the middle ring, and then let it slowly sink down. And then, it's already on. Super easy, simple. I got it. Perfectly right. So here it works very, very nicely. I would really orient myself to the inner ring. If it sits a millimeter or half a millimeter a bit further left or right, it's not a problem at all. And it fits nicely with the frame here as well. So this is really very, very good. And when you run your hand over it, you can also feel that the Velcro is a bit higher than the rubber edge. Before we even get to polishing, there are already many points I want to address. So let's first take a look from above. You have these ventilation holes everywhere, and we can also compare it with the original support plate. Because today's video is really for the hardcore polishing nerds among us. So, for everyone who is definitely excited about it and perhaps wants to become a real polisher. First, you can see that the mount is the same, and it will be properly set up here. Let's do that right away. But where do we start? Let's start with the height. You can see here, the new support plate, or the Perfomance Plate, is significantly flatter. This means you are simply much more stable with this entire system. We will also see this on the vehicle shortly. The vibration is also somewhat dampened, and we will take a look at that as well. You have a significantly better pressure. You can really shift the machine precisely, even if you want to go up on an edge or something, because the support plate is simply much flatter, and the forces that you practically transfer to the machine are better transmitted to the pad through the support plate. And you can see that here, in this flat moment, I would clearly say that when you hold them side by side, you can see that it is significantly flatter overall, because the support plate here is also a bit flexible. You can also see that this material is much thicker. However, we still have the absolutely brilliant ventilation. This ventilation technology, which is integrated here through the channels, is also built in here. And now let's get right to the ventilation, or cooling to heat dissipation. Here you have the holes from above, which means that when the heat enters the metal, it exits much better from the top because there are all these holes up here. This simply means less material. This is not a metal core that properly absorbs it. Instead, you have interruptions everywhere, not just the holes, but also these small channels going in and out. It's just a dream. Then you also have the side holes. I hope you can see them from this side, these small cavity entrances, and also where heat accumulates during polishing with the extender polishing machine. Why is there a hole in the middle of the pad? Exactly for that reason. The heat, as I have already shown you in at least 2 videos, moves inward in the polishing pad while polishing. This means that a lot of heat dissipation is needed there, not only for the support plate to come out, as the threaded pin is inside, but also to the side, which is why you also have side openings here. And now we come to the next thing, which is this rubberized edge. The point here is that when you hold them side by side, the measurements are almost identical, down to 2 or 3 millimeters, but when the pad is on, you don't have such a high overhang from the support plate. And if you happen to slip somewhere or whatever, this rubberized edge is of course a bit better in terms of protection than this plastic here. This one is really very sharp edged, as you can see here. It's logical for all support plates, but with such a performance variant, it just has to be more refined. Here you can see it's like a saw. If you hit something, you really have this wonderfully rubberized edge. It is about the DA15, the DA. And also the LHR machines from Rupees. So you know this connection here, and you also have it on the machines. Here's an important tip for the Rupees machines. Be aware that the support plate may not be compatible with every Rupees machine, and because the washer mod is often used, you basically just need to put a small washer in here. It is important that you choose the hole accordingly. So put in a small O-ring and a small washer so that the support plate is positioned a bit further away from the Rupees machine and the housing. So you can find it somewhere at the discount hardware store, at the hardware store, or ask your dad, buddy, or someone. Someone always has a washer and puts it in here. It's perfectly fine for the support plate to be a little further away from the housing, because if you do happen to angle it a bit, it won't grind against the housing. So just keep that in mind and give it a try. But for the machines, you don't need a washer, and I'll show you that now. We'll place this here. It's really like you're definitely putting your new, I don't know, Z Performance BBs on your car of choice, or your new rims. Look at what the DA15 looks like now. It feels like you somehow got a pro version. Really, really nice. We are going to put this part into operation. You can see 2001, you don't need to worry about washer mods. The washer is really perfectly matched. Now look at this nicely. You can see right through with my white t-shirt. This is absolutely top notch. And we can also take a look here. Look here, you don't move it at all. It's not like it lifts up or bends at all. It's rock solid. And now let's get to the car, because Johann here from Barwich Aufbereitung, the Johann who is also involved with Waschkuchen, what is this thing? You have to put this on the DA15. It's brilliant. He's really excited about it. And I have Johann. I'm filming the video today. I'm going to check it out together with the people now. How cool would it be if the machine were completely turquoise? This would look absolutely great in this anodized tone. So I'm doing this together for the very first time. Not the polishing itself, but applying it here. And you can already see here, even if you have a pad that sticks or smooths really well to the hook and loop surface, you won't have any problems at all. I want to find out together with you how it is to put it on. And it can be done very, very nicely with my big hands. Look how easily the polishing pad can be attached here. It works very, very well. I really like it because you don't have such a sharp edge and you can wonderfully orient yourself here on this edge. and it works very well if the pad is a bit further left or right. It's no problem as long as it doesn't swing completely back and forth. Yes, and the rest is 2001, which is actually history. Let's put it that way. Now it's about the machine, about the handling. I'll go to level 2 and briefly distribute. 2001.
Well, I can already notice it on level 2. When distributing that you are simply much closer to the surface, the machine runs significantly more stable, and it was already working very, very well with the first backing pad. You noticed that in my first video as well. In terms of evaluation, I really like the DA15 as the main device, especially now with the flatter plate. And I also feel that it lies a bit more rigidly on the surface. It's hard to show in the video, but you can definitely notice it right away on level 2 when you distribute it. I'm now polishing at level 6. I'm going to go full power here now and just want to see how the vibrations are. So full speed ahead. Let's go. So you hear me now in the voiceover because I wanted to gather my impressions directly. And you can already see that what I'm doing here is not normal polishing, but I'm first feeling a bit to see where the vibrations are, more in the middle, at the head, or at the rear. Also, here again regarding the pressure transmission. So these are a bit of my testing hand movements, and please don't polish like this at home. You can also see that I'm making some light cross movements. So this is not a polishing tutorial. Rather, it's really about me getting a true feel for this plate. And I really have to say it felt extremely good to work with this plate here. The cool thing is that the LED lighting on it also shines a bit onto the plate, making it shine even more. You can see how bright this ring is now, not the white one, but the turquoise one underneath. And then comes the green pad, so it's also another visual highlight. But it really is about the performance. But you can also see here, the machine glides over the surface like it's on ice, and the vibrations are indeed much lower. You can never achieve 100% vibration-free operation with an extender polishing machine. That's logical, because there is an imbalance in the head due to the stroke, depending on the situation. And I really have to say, it drives like butter. Here, I really press down hard. I wanted to see if the power transmission still holds up, or if the machine sinks in any way, and you can hear that the machine doesn't go down or anything from the motor noise. Because it can transmit this 1A cleanly here, now, I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's amazing. I have to be careful not to just rave about it the whole time, but I really have no other choice because, as you can see, even under massive pressure, the machine maintains a constant speed. So, it really is a genuine plus, this backing plate. So if you have a DA15, the conclusion will follow shortly. But I'm telling you right now, get this thing while it's still available. It's just amazing. I had a lot of fun working with it. It's a bit of a wild ride with my testing procedure here. As I mentioned, this is not a polishing tutorial. It's just my little individual test of the plate. So, top. More on that. Right after the conclusion, wow. You can really notice it immediately when you apply a bit more pressure on the surface with the machine. You really have a very, very stable operation, and you can truly feel it when you push hard into the machine and really demand a lot from it, especially if you want to rework a scratch. The plate transfers the pressure beautifully to the pad and really pushes through, effectively transmitting the power. So I really overloaded it on purpose. And please don't polish like I did here, but look at the pad. I really put it to the test just now because I wanted to see if you can really notice the difference. It's truly amazing. Now we can also remove the pad. The nice thing is that you have it loose on the side here because there is no Velcro all the way to the edge. This means you can simply go underneath here, 2001, because the Velcro starts further inside. This means you never have problems removing the pad. You don't have to pull on the foam in any way, and you don't need to dig in with your fingers first. You simply go in and can remove it perfectly from all sides without it being loose in any way. Just pull off the pad, snap, and you can see how intensely it climbs on here. So absolutely top-notch. As mentioned, this is not a polishing tutorial, but it really focuses on handling the machine. With the new support plate X, it was also worked with proper pressure and extended correctly. Look, we don't even have any polishing marks. It's amazing. And you can really notice that when you polish, you feel the difference in the stability of the machine. Shine a light on it. Yes, I would clearly say it's top-notch. That was really a one-step process here. If there is still a really deep scratch or something, then you can go over it again. But we have no haze, we have no veil or anything at the edges. Of course, I went over it a bit gently. Now you can see I didn't want to use the tape unnecessarily. So, from here on...
Yes, I had the finish pad ready here as well, in case we get a slight haze, because the combination of the green thermal pad, and if you don't work long enough or apply too little pressure, the abrasive particles in it remain coarse enough to create a slight haze. And it makes sense to follow up with, for example, US, or to briefly use the finish pad again. But I have seen that by intentionally introducing a lot of heat in a very short time, making many passes, and applying really good pressure to push the entire system to its limits. And also the pad to its limits, we have driven the polishing grain so far into the finish or extracted so much finish, 5 out of 6, that we have no haze or anything on the surface at all. So this was a one-step process here just now, but please do not polish the way I just showed you. It was purely more of a stress test. But I have to say one thing, it really doesn't work beautifully with it. You can dose the pressure very, very precisely, transferring it finely to where you want. You simply have a nice backing plate to properly remove the pad. You don't have to use your fingernail to push through and get stuck in between, so you don't accidentally just pull on the foam. Instead, you always have the advantage of being able to come down with your finger on the outside. These are small things, but they really make a huge difference in handling, especially when you work a lot with the machines, these pads, and the entire system. I think it's a significant advantage. It's simply a matter of convenience. It goes back to the old backing plates, and it was already a bit like that here. Do you see that? It has already been considered in this original plate that we have a small edge here, which makes it much easier to peel off. But there are also backing plates that go all the way to the edge. This is not in any way inferior or something worse, but it simply offers a performance advantage and also improves handling when you can just pull it off like this without having to dig your finger in. Also, regarding heat dissipation after this short time, you really have minimal temperature in here even though the pad has been properly tortured. So now it's slowly returning to its old shape and structure, but it always has. It's slowly coming back, but you can already see here, I intentionally overloaded it. Just look at the pad surface here. You can see a really nice heat edge in it. I hope it can be seen. So I really put it through its paces, and you can also see here that it is no longer completely straight. I really overdid it. And you can tell in this metal plate area, it didn't even get lukewarm. Very, very nice. We can also take a look from the underside, so you don't have any situation where the heat has somehow broken through to the top and you only have the hot area on top. Rather, the Velcro surface remains really nice and cool, while still maintaining its absolutely strong adhesion. Look, I can lift the whole machine with the small piece of backing plate areas, so it's a really, really nice thing. Works super reliably, and it's worth every euro to me. And if this thing costs around 50-55, I'll buy it once, install it, and prefer to save on the 18th detailer or the 37th wheel cleaner. I'd rather get that thing and put it on. I don't know how long that part will be available in total. I don't know the current quantities, but we saw it with the Solo replacement container as well. I believe that one is already sold out again after a day or two. So for all the DA15 owners out there, I have to say, if you save up the 50, get this thing. It's simply a really nice upgrade, not just an optical one, because in this case, I don't want to pay a lot of money for looks, but it really also improves handling, fit, heat dissipation, and the transfer of forces is more precise. Very, very nice. Wonderful thing. I have nothing here. I find nothing negative. Feel free to write it down in the comments below, especially if you already have the plate at home. If you have already gained some experience, feel free to write it in the comments below, because when you have worked with the backing plate here, you already know the advantages of this heat dissipation, this Velcro, and this small edge. Here it is, just once again. End stage level 3 out of 3. This is level 2 out of 3. All right, until then, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I will also give you long-term feedback on this topic in about 2 to 3 weeks. We will also be working on the part on the BMW E, where we will need to work really hard with a lot of heat, a lot of cut, and everything that goes along with it. But I have now specifically pushed it to its limits here, and I really have to say, it's a wonderful piece, and I don't see any negative points at the moment. The Velcro holds well. This adhesive surface stays intact. You won't tear it off in any way when it is cleanly mounted and glued on perfectly. Processing is top-notch and protection on the side. Well, now we're done. That was really a bit theoretical, already diving deep into the nerdy material. But for all of us polishers, this here is the holy backing plate grail, I would say quite clearly. Until next time, Sebastian. Bye, guys.